So you need to understand the value of online training. Like what we're trying to do with online fitness coaching is be able to help other people be able to do it on their own. Like I don't want somebody to have to pay me to count their reps and then when their sessions are done, see them revert back to their old ways. I would much rather coach somebody on the effective lifestyle habits that lead to success in the long term. What is going on, online trainer? It is your boy, B Mark Fit, and I'm coming at you with another version of Change Lives, Make Money, the Online Trainer podcast. This one is going to be a goodie. I think you guys are going to get a ton of value out of this. This one is all about selling in-person training versus selling online training. Now, I understand that there's a lot of in-person trainers that watch my stuff, that watch my content, that are interested in growing an online business, but we don't know where to start. And I really do think that it's super important to understand the mindset behind selling in-person training versus online training if we want to be successful at this in the long game. Because you have to know the fundamental differences between, like why people would purchase in-person training versus online training. And most importantly, we have to sell it to ourselves, because I think that a lot of online fitness coaches aren't really fully sold on the idea of online training versus in-person training. And that comes across when they're communicating with their clients. So unless you are fully sold on the idea of online training, then it's gonna be really hard for you to communicate with your clients. So we're gonna get this party started in about 60 seconds here. I'm gonna invite some of my squad members to watch. And then we're gonna be talking about selling in-person training versus selling online training, and why I believe online training is actually more beneficial for the client, and how you can start to make this switch in your own mindset so that it makes it easier for you guys to sell it. So while everybody's getting a chance to tune in, drop me an emoji if you're excited to learn about selling in person versus selling online. What's going on, Karen? Oh, tune in for another live stream. I love it. So we're gonna get this party started in about 60 seconds here. Just gonna invite a couple people to tune in, and then we are gonna kick this off. Let's get it. Okay, cool. So let's get this started. I'm just gonna record on my podcast here. Just gonna go on my microphone. What's going on, squad? So drop me an emoji describing your day. We're gonna be talking about selling in-person training versus selling online training. Yarnelli, what is going on? Thank you for tuning in, girl. Okay, so here's where we're at. I believe that in-person training is really good for those people that are just getting started with their fitness journey. But I think that long-term, online training makes more sense for lifestyle habits. So without further ado, today's podcast is all about selling online training versus selling in-person training. Let's get it. What is going on, online fitness coach? Welcome to another episode of Change Lives, Make Money, the #1 show for online trainers that are looking to take their business to the next level. My goal of this podcast is to bring you all the goodies with none of the fluffs. So the episodes are short and sweet, and they're right to the point. So one of the biggest struggles in in-person training, with in-person trainers being able to transition their business online, is understanding the actual value of in-person training versus online training. As personal trainers, oftentimes what I see is that the mindset behind selling online training versus selling in-person training is that a lot of trainers think that people are paying you for the hour that you're working, right? So we're thinking about the value of the program being based around how many hours it takes us to write the program. And if we're basing the value of the program based on the amount of hours that it takes, we will seriously devalue the service. So we think that we're getting paid for the hour that we're working. And sometimes with in-person training versus online training, clients will feel like they're gonna get more value from an in-person trainer because they're having somebody that's gonna stand by them and count their reps. So one of the biggest reasons that me personally, my business was able to scale as fast as it did, which, going from 2K a month to 4K a month to 5K a month to 7K a month to 10K a month, one of the reasons that my business was able to scale was because I honestly believed with every ounce of my soul that online training was better for the client than in-person training. Because I knew that people weren't gonna pay me for the time, right? People weren't paying me for my time, but they were paying me for their result. So when somebody was investing in me as an online fitness coach, they weren't wondering how many hours I was gonna spend on their program. Instead, they were super committed to losing 15 pounds. And that's why they were investing in me, because I was telling them that I could help them get the result. So people aren't paying you for your time, but they're paying you for the result. I also understood that the value was higher in online training because I was there 24/7 instead of the 1 hour in the gym. As an in-person trainer, you have there's an opportunity for you to change somebody's life, but you're only with them 2 to 3 sessions a week. So in those 2 to 3 sessions a week, you can do a lot of damage, but then the client is gonna go about their lives and then they might eat A&W or catch burgers or skip their other workouts. So I understood that the value was actually higher in online training because I was able to monitor their lifestyle habits. And I knew that online training actually got the client better results because I was able to dial in their training and their nutrition. And I wasn't just focused on the workouts, but I was also focused on like everything that encompasses a healthy lifestyle. So one of my clients, Lori, actually joined my program recently, Lori Code. Super, super awesome. She had been an in-person trainer for about 14, 15 years. And because she was an in-person trainer, transitioning into selling online training was a bit of a challenge for her because she just didn't understand the value of it. So she was like, me and Lori got on a call and we were talking and she was like, Brian, I just don't understand. Like, how is somebody gonna pay me $1,000 for 12 weeks of training when I'm not spending any time with them? So she like believed that in order for her to get paid $1,000 for 12 weeks of online coaching, she had to spend time with them. So she's like, okay, well, since I'm not in the gym with these people, right? Like since I'm not actually in the gym with them, I probably have to do like FaceTime chats or video chats, or I have to dedicate certain hours of my day to these clients because as an in-person trainer, people were paying me a certain amount of money and then I would spend a certain amount of time with them. So I had a conversation with Lori. I was talking to her on the phone. I was like, listen, Lori, the value of online training doesn't come from the amount of hours that you spend with your client. The value from online training comes from the transformation that you're able to provide to your client. So Lori, if somebody pays you, let's say somebody pays you for $1,000 for 12 weeks of coaching, if you're able to help John lose 15 pounds and get in the best shape of his life, do you really think he's gonna care about the $1,000 that he paid you for the 12 weeks of coaching? Right? So the value isn't in the hour that you spend with John. The value is whether or not you're able to get John the result. So that's where the shift came, right? So me and Lori had that conversation about the value of in-person versus online. And as soon as Lori made that switch in her mind, she's like, oh, I get it. Like people are paying me for the transformation, not paying me for the hour that I'm working. Lori went from $1,000 a month to $7,000 a month from online coaching. So this shift in terms of selling online training versus selling in-person training has to come from you first. Like you have to understand the value of online coaching. And obviously with understanding the value of online coaching, like you really need to get clear on the systems that you're gonna use. So like how you're gonna be delivering your training programs, how you're gonna be delivering your meal plans, what your check-in process is gonna look like, what your Facebook community looks like. But once you understand that as a whole, then selling online training is going to be a lot easier for you because you understand that you're not getting paid for the amount of hours that you're working, but you're getting paid based on your ability to provide client results. So client transformations, that's what people are caring about. So if you don't believe that in yourself, like if you don't believe online training is more beneficial for the client, then it's going to be very challenging for you to sell it on the phone. Because unless that shift has to happen, that shift has to happen inside of you first, and then you can inspire that shift in another person. Okay, so here's my argument for why online training is better than in-person training. So I want you guys to think about it for a second. So let's say I'm John and I've got 15 pounds to lose. And I can't get myself to go to the gym and I'm like really frustrated with my results and I'm kind of like struggling. Why would somebody hire an in-person trainer, right? Like why would somebody hire a trainer? Most people would hire a trainer in the gym so that they can have somebody hold them accountable to going to the gym. Because if I pay a trainer for like 3 sessions a week, I'm not gonna skip my workouts because there's a certain amount of money that I'm gonna invest. And then if I don't get those, like if I don't actually show up to those workouts, then I'm gonna waste my money. So most people would hire a trainer because they need somebody to hold them accountable to their workouts. And some people would hire a trainer for good form, but we're not talking about that in this podcast. But when somebody hires a trainer to keep them accountable, what happens when their sessions expire, right? Without the accountability, most people, when their sessions expire, without the accountability, most people will revert back to their old ways. Because the reason that they hired an in-person trainer was so that they could be held accountable to going to the gym. So when most people are done those sessions, they're either gonna continue sessions or a lot of people will go back to their old ways. So without the accountability, they're likely to go back or they'll have to purchase more sessions because the reason that they hired a trainer is because they couldn't do it on their own. Online training though is kind of doing it on your own, but you have a guide. So we've got in-person training where you're having somebody stand by you counting your reps, and you've got doing it on your own, which is a struggle for a lot of people because that's the reason they hired a trainer. Online training is the bridge between having an in-person trainer and being able to do it on their own. Online training is the bridge. So for those people that struggle with accountability, consistency, discipline, nutrition, for those people that struggle with those things, I think it's more beneficial to hire an online trainer because we can have somebody that will check in with us, make sure that we're going to the gym, make sure that we're following our meal plan, make sure that we're taking progress pictures every single week. And having that accountability each and every single week is going to give us the necessary lifestyle habits to be able to continue to do it on their own. As coaches, our job isn't to keep people around forever. Our job is to inspire people to live healthier lifestyles and to do it on their own. Now, with in-person training, I think that you can do a lot of damage and you can help people get better form, you can help them with consistency, but when those sessions are done, a lot of people haven't developed the necessary habits to be able to do it on their own. So they'll revert back to their old ways. However, with online training, we're able to ingrain some certain habits that will lead to long-term lifestyle changes, right? Oftentimes, people are missing some key elements of being able to do it on their own, like consistency, discipline, accountability, a great nutrition routine. So having an in-person trainer a couple sessions a week is awesome when you're first getting started and you need to learn form and you need to learn technique. But over the long run, the things that are going to keep the client on track and keep the client like losing weight for the rest of their life is having a solid nutrition routine. And a lot of in-person trainers, especially like big box gyms, just aren't allowed to offer nutrition advice, which means your client John's gonna come to you for his workout sessions. That's awesome. He's gonna like feel a good pump, get some awesome results in the gym, and then he's gonna go out, and what if John eats A&W? What if John has a really stressful life, so his cortisol levels are super high, so he's not losing weight? What if John like looks at himself in the mirror and he has like a lot of negative self-talk? These are things that you can't really coach as an in-person trainer, right? But these are things that you can coach as an online fitness coach, because part of online fitness coaching is the check-in process and the accountability. So when your client's checking in with you every single week and telling you their dietary adherence, telling you how stressed out they are, telling you how much sleep that they got, telling you how much water that they drank. As an online fitness coach, we can pay a lot more attention to the intangibles that lead to long-term success: discipline, accountability, consistency, adherence to the meal plan. And all of these things are going to lead to the client being able to do it on their own. And I would argue that having a client that's able to do it on their own after the nutrition plan, after a training program, is more beneficial than having somebody stand by them during their workouts. And online training is a lot more cost effective, right? So if we think about a 12-week program in the gym for like 2 to 3 sessions a week, that's gonna run a client about $3,000 to $4,000 for 2 sessions a week for 12 weeks. Like that's a big chunk of money to be thrown down. And I know that because I hired a fitness coach for one of my fitness I hired an in-person trainer for one of my competitions, and it cost me about $3,000 for the 12 weeks of coaching, and I had to pay that off over the course of a year. So although like that was super valuable, I've had a lot of online trainers myself, and every time I had an online trainer, I always ended up getting more value. So it's more cost effective, and you're gonna get more access to the online trainer, because getting more access to your online trainer, you're able to text them, you're able to call them if you need them, you get the check-ins, you get the emails, you get all the accountability, the support system. So online trainer, in-person trainer, understand this. If you understand that online training is the bridge between in-person training and being able to do it on your own, it will make it easier for you to sell it to yourself and convince yourself that it's valuable. And once you convince yourself, it will be easier for you to convince other people. So you need to understand the value of online training. Like what we're trying to do with online fitness coaching is be able to help other people be able to do it on their own. Like I don't want somebody to have to pay me to count their reps, and then when their sessions are done, see them revert back to their old ways. I would much rather coach somebody on the effective lifestyle habits that lead to success in the long term. Another thing that I want to talk about is the time for money mindset. So if you've been in-person training for a certain amount of years, like my client Lori that I mentioned in the podcast, if you've been in-person training for a certain amount of years, then it's likely that you're stuck in this time for money mindset, which means that you think that you're getting paid for the hour that you work. Online training is completely different, right? With online training, you're getting paid for the transformation that you can provide. So I'll give you a practical example of this. As an online fitness coach, you can work 20 hours on a program for the course of 12 weeks. And let's say the client wants to lose 15 pounds. So you can work 20 hours on a program and the client loses 0 weight. That program is worth $0. Even if you put 20 hours worth of work in, if the client doesn't get the result, it's not worth any money, right? However, if you're an online fitness coach and you only work 3 hours over the span of 12 weeks, on that fitness coaching program, but that client loses 20 pounds and they're in the best shape of their life, that program is worth $1,000. So with online fitness coaching, people are not paying you for the hours that you're working on the program. So you cannot calculate your program cost based on the amount of time it takes you to create the program. You need to calculate your program cost based on the result that you're able to get your clients. Because if you can get people the transformation, that's what people are gonna pay for, not the result. So that's it. I believe online training is more beneficial than in-person training for 3 reasons. Number 1 is you get accountability and 24/7 support. So you're not just getting access to the trainer during the session in the gym, you're also getting access to the trainer if you have text questions, email questions, all that good stuff. You get a Facebook community, everything. I also believe for number 2, the second reason I think online training is more beneficial is because it's more cost effective for the client. So if you were to hire an in-person trainer for 12 weeks, it would cost you about $3,000 and it doesn't come with a nutrition plan. Right? And nutrition is one of the key elements that leads to long-term success. And that leads me to number 3, it educates the client on nutrition, which is a key element of sustaining your results in the long term. So I would love to know your guys' thoughts. So if you're listening to this podcast or you're watching this, I would love to know what your thoughts are. So either shoot me a DM on Instagram and let me know what your thoughts are on online training versus in-person training. It's at BMarkFit on Instagram. So head over to my Instagram and let me know what your guys' thoughts are. But that's it for now. This is the Change Lives Make Money Online Trainer podcast. I'm super grateful for you here. I'm coming out with 5 episodes a week, and my goal is just to provide straight value. So every time you tune into this podcast, I promise you I'm going to give you the goodies right away. There's no fluff talk. And my goal is to get to 100 episodes. So I'm super excited you're here with the journey. Thank you so much for tuning in. And just on a final note, if you want to win $1,000 cash, I'm going to be giving away $1,000 in the month of December. So all you got to do is screenshot this, share it to your Instagram story, tag me at BMarkFit. Let me know that you're listening to the podcast. I'm going to be giving away $1,000 in the month of December to one of my listeners. So that's it for now, guys. Thank you for tuning in. This is the Change Lives Make Money Online Trainer podcast, and I'll talk to you soon. Peace. All right, squad. So in-person training versus online training. What are our thoughts? So we've got a few comments on Instagram. Great stuff, my dude. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Brady says, teach them the tools to keep them going on their own. Yes. So in-person training is great, and I'm not taking away anything from any in-person trainers because I know a lot of in-person trainers work really hard, but I just think that you have more of a chance to impact people's lives on a deeper level with online training. So I love that. Yarnelli said, if a local client enrolled in my online program and wanted to jump into some sessions with me at the gym, what would you suggest? So that all depends, right? So Yarnelli, some trainers will want to be in person and online. For me, I just wanted to be online. So when I would have my online clients that would inquire about like getting in-person sessions with me, like that's just what wasn't the life that I wanted to create. Like I didn't want to have a schedule tying me down. But when you're getting started, Yarnelli, it might be a good idea to work out with your client and get some extra like videos with your client. You could probably get an in-person testimonial, so that might be beneficial for you. But it all depends on the lifestyle that you're trying to create. So for me personally, I never wanted to be tied down with my time, so I never do that, but maybe you want that. Accountability on the client side, beautiful, I love that. So I'm just gonna scroll through and see if I had any other questions. Just going over this with a potential client who wanted to know the difference. Very helpful topic to discuss. I love it. Glad you're getting value, girl. It's amazing. Cool. So thank you so much for tuning in, guys. This is the Change Lives Make Money Online Trainer podcast. So if you guys want to subscribe, you want to hear more, I'm on Spotify and the podcast app. So go to Change Lives Make Money on Spotify or the podcast app, and you can subscribe and you can tune into every single episode. I'm dropping at least 5 episodes a week. So if you want to get more value and learn more stuff from me, head over to Change Lives Make Money, the Online Trainer podcast on the podcast app or iTunes. That's it for now, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll talk to you soon. Peace.